I mean, I don't know how I'm going to top that, but I will try my best to keep you all entertained for the 2 hours of my presentation. So, again, a lot of you know me, have seen me over the years. I'm Anthony Garbus. I'm product manager at Audi for the A4, A5, Q5, so we call our B9 family, as well as the R8, and a couple other little special projects that we'll talk to you about in another couple of weeks. So, I'm excited today to talk to you about the S4 and the S5. One of our best versions of the A4 and the A5, which we'll be driving shortly after this. I think you'll really like them. They are, as we said, really, it's the best car we've done yet. And we like to say it's the perfect balance of performance and design. So you look at the S4, like Frank discussed last night, it's very technical and it's very sharp. And then look at the S5 and the A5, and they're very emotional and elegant looking cars. So there are two different ways to get to the same result, which is awesome design and fantastic performance. So we briefly touched on this last night. There are a few things that make an S car different than an A car. And one of them first is you always get S Sport seats in an S car. And these on the car come standard with diamond stitching and with leather Alcantara seats. They also have massage function and pneumatic bolsters that will squeeze you. And that is standard in every S model. Yes, go try it out today. You know, you said you were tired. This will help relax you. You also have what we call the alu optic exterior. So every S car has what we call the alu mirrors that you see right here. You have alu on the grille, you have alu in the bumpers, and this, Frank mentioned last night, ties back to the old historic cars. And then on the rear of the car, you see here the S5, you have a lip spoiler, you have the quad exhaust, which is a hallmark of S vehicles. Then you have different bumpers and lower grills and side sills that give you the aggressive look of an S car. On the interior, as I said, these here are shown in fine apple leather and magma red, but you get the same seat with leather and Alcantara, standard on the car. You have Alcantara door panels on every vehicle. You have available carbon Atlas inlays, which are unique to an S model. And then every S model comes standard with a 3-spoke flat bottom steering wheel with shift paddles. And then when you look at the MMI and the virtual cockpit in here, you have new MMI with the all-in with touch, where you can write in where you'd like to go. You have what we've seen, of course, everyone who hasn't seen a virtual cockpit yet or experienced it in any car. Great. So you know it. When you get an S model, you get an additional mode, which is called Sport Mode, which you see here, where you have a centrally mounted tachometer, and then you can put your map on the left, and you can customize what you'd like to see on the right. And then when you get navigation, new for all of the B9 from model year 18, between A4, A5, Q5, whenever you get nav, you're forced with virtual cockpit. There's no navigation without it. And that's because everyone who buys nav wants virtual cockpit to see the map on it. So it made very much sense. And then you also get a larger center screen, 8.3-inch screen when you get navigation. We've talked about Audi Connect, our infotainment. This is award-winning connectivity in the cars. You have the standard in every vehicle is Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and that is across the entire model line. So even if you get a car without nav, you just plug in your phone and you use CarPlay and Android Auto for your navigation needs. So then you have the Audi Connect app on your phone, where you can connect to your car, check the status, lock the doors, etc., see the range. You can set geofencing alerts, speed alerts, etc. And then you also have standard in every S models we call telematics, so your emergency call, your breakdown assist, your crash notification that's tied in through the Audi Connect gateway. So the main change, or the main heart of this car, is the motor and performance. When you're buying an S car, it's not that you're just buying the styling, you are buying significant hardware upgrades. So I'm going to take some time to run you through this all-new 3-liter turbo motor. So 354 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. It's a twin-scroll single turbo that sits inside the V. So this is a hot side inside motor. The biggest, I think, very exciting part is that it's a new combustion process for us. So we have the A4 Ultra, which is our 190 horsepower 2-liter motor, very efficient, as you'll see, 37 miles per gallon on the highway. This combustion process now is also in the new 3-liter V6, and it's really 3 things. It's a modified Miller cycle motor, and so it has a short combustion stroke and a long power stroke, and this is great for efficiency. But the problem is when you do this and you try to make a lot of power, your engine can knock. So that is why you have Audi valveless now on the intake side, whereas on our 4-cylinder motors like the A4 Quattro and the A5, valveless is on the exhaust side. So this then allows you to adjust the duration of the cam, so you can have the low or high opening depending on how your throttle is, and this avoids the knock. And then third, this fuel injector has been mounted centrally in the top of the combustion chamber. And when you add all 3 of these together, you get the efficiency and the performance that brings this motor really to life. It also weighs 31 pounds less than the previous motor. It is all aluminum, and you have graphite liners in the cylinder for reduced friction. And you'll see when you start it and you drive this car and you get on it, the exhaust note from it and the engine note is extremely emotional and it's fantastic and very powerful. So, as I said, hot side inside motor, the turbo sits inside the V. The housing of the turbine is tested to 1,000 degrees Celsius because obviously it gets very hot in there, where you have the exhaust inside and then you have your intake on the outside of the motor. And then you see very short runs. It's a twin scroll turbo, so each bank has its own scroll. It is mounted to the right cylinder bank, so cylinders 1 through 3, and has a flexible connector to the other side. And this is important because when you have very short runs, you get instant response, and you have virtually no turbo lag. And so when you get on the throttle, you feel it right away. This thing is very telling. So when you look at a C43 and a 340, we are 4.4 seconds here at 60, which is 0.2 of a second faster than the AMG, which is doing this with a bi-turbo motor. And you look at the 340 at 4.8 seconds, it's almost half a second faster. And compared to the predecessor with a supercharged motor, 21 horsepower more, 44 pound-feet of torque more, half a second faster, 0 to 60. And then significant fuel economy improvement at +3 in the city, +2 on the highway, and +3 combined. But this is really telling here is when you look at the dyno chart compared to the old motor to the new one. And what you see is you get maximum torque at 1,370 RPM. So you have a very long and flat torque curve across the entire power band. And when you look around, you got to go to about 3,000 RPM in the supercharged motor to hit your torque peak. And that entire area underneath here. So this right here is what you're driving with every day. And you have almost 200 Newton meters more of torque right off of the line compared to the old one. So when you get in the car and you start accelerating, you feel it right away. You have a super flat torque curve, good horsepower curve for 1,000 RPM from 5,400 to 6,400 RPM. So benefits, it's faster, it is more efficient, and the throttle response is instant when you get on the car. So under the skin, we now have sole transmission with 8-speed Tiptronic. This is very similar to the transmission that you see in the RS7, 8-speed. It is very quick. It is suited perfectly for when you make 369 pound-feet of torque right at 1,300 RPM, and that is for smoothness, and also just it feels proper when you're driving the car. And you also get sport mode. When you shift, the gear shifts are essentially as fast as you got in the old S-Tronic. It makes all the right noises, the same thing, and when you drive the car, I think you'll see exactly what I mean. There is still a launch control program for this transmission as well. And when you have now 8 gears, it makes it very easy because you can take your lower gears and make them shorter for quick acceleration. Now that you have an additional forward gear with an 8th gear, you can make them a little bit longer so you can have better efficiency on the highway. So you're always in the right gear at the right time with this transmission and with this motor. As for the running gear, the suspension, this is our MLB Evo chassis that we see across the entire B9B family. When you're looking at an S4 compared to an A4, it is 23 millimeters lower. Where you look at an A5 and an S5, they always sit 23 millimeters lower. And that's because of the coupe, the Gran Turismo, the sporty design. A5 is lower than an A4. You have a new 5-link suspension front and rear with high aluminum content, which reduces your unsprung weight. Every S car comes standard with 6-piston fixed front calipers. And also unique to S models is dynamic steering, which is a variable steering ratio based on your speed and adjustable through Audi Drive Select, which is standard in every vehicle. We also see across S4, S5, SQ5 what I have as an S Sport package. So this is where you want the maximum performance from the car. You get the Sport adaptive suspension, which is new for this generation, an updated Sport Quattro Sport rear differential, and then you tie in the red brake calipers as an identifier for this package. So you see red calipers, you know the hardware is there underneath this part. So now I have a little video here, because I love videos, running through the suspension. So you see one thing that's cool is the upper strut mounts now the upper control arm mount directly to the strut towers, which are aluminum on this car. And then you look at the central control unit here, reads the road, adjusts every one of the dampers. They all have electronic controls on the top to adjust the damping. And this is also adjustable through Audi Drive Select if you want to. So when you get in the car, go into comfort, see how it adjusts the suspension, go into dynamic, you'll feel it. It's not something where you always feel just firmness. It is controlling the body of the car. So there's a lot of that you won't feel, but you'll notice when you corner in terms of how much it'll lean and how it responds. this is one of the biggest things of the S model. So we introduced this in 2010, 2011 on the S4, S5. It really just changed the entire dynamic of the vehicle. So as you know, you have the center locking differential, which transfers your power front to rear. And then now with the sport rear differential, you can transfer your power left to right in the back. And so this is the second generation. It is much quicker, it's much more neutral, and it's much more responsive than the first one. So it's completely integrated into the vehicle control unit, where it's constantly analyzing the road friction, your throttle, your steering, the yaw rate, and it's determining, okay, what do I need to do? Am I going to transfer power to the outside wheel? Am I cornering? Am I accelerating? Do I need to modulate between the two wheels? And this is so when you get on the car, it'll transfer power wherever it needs to go based on how you're driving and your throttle. And that keeps the car perfectly neutral. So when you're coming out of a turn, obviously you're supposed to link your throttle to your steering and not just floor it. But get in the car if you want to, punch the throttle on the way out, it just hunkers down and it does exactly and points you where you want to go. So you can also adjust how much this will react through Audi Drive Select. So when you get in the car, cycle through the individual mode and you can look through steering, dynamic steering, quattro, engine sound, steering map, or throttle map, and then exhaust mode as well. Stopping power is something that I mentioned earlier. You're buying a lot of hardware when you get an S car. So we have 350 millimeter front disc brakes. You have fixed 6-piston calipers on the front. And when you look at the competition, the AMG C43, you're getting 4-piston fixed calipers, and then on a 340 or a 440, to get a fixed 4-piston caliper and not a sliding caliper, you have to get the track package for $1,700. And what's important to note here is that these 4-piston calipers are what you see on an A4 Quattro and an A5. So something we take very clearly is the performance of braking, and you'll see when you look at the test and you guys do your road test reviews, we'll always be best in class on stopping ability, that we can outstop most every other car. Driver assistance. I've shown this chart to you guys a lot over the years, but again, we have class-leading driver assistance. Presense City, which is your pedestrian protection, vehicle exit assist, rear cross traffic assist when you're backing out of the spot, it'll alert you if the car's coming, traffic jam assist, where it'll work under 40 miles an hour and guide you along with traffic, collision avoidance when you're turning in front of someone, turn assist, adaptive cruise control, stop and go, and of course Presense Rear, which is a function of Audi side assist and blind spot monitoring. So, I expect you all to be able to read this, especially in the back, but we have, I think, your press kit, the order guides, and you can run through it here. The fact here is that every S model starts at Premium Plus, and this is important because we talked about the high levels of standard equipment in the car, and it's true because you're getting LED headlights, you're getting sunroof, you're getting heated front seats, you get the telematics and the emergency call, and your S-Sport seats, standard in every car, and advanced key, drive select. You're getting a very equipped car at the base price, $50,900 for an S4, or $54,600 for an S5 coupe. Then of course your packages, S4 package, navigation, warm weather, where you get ventilated seats, cold weather package, heated steering wheel, heated rear seats, and then you can add dynamic steering if you would like to, or 19-inch wheels. So you'll see that these cars mirror each other for the most part to keep it simple, and again, make it easy for the customer to know what they're getting. This is really exciting because it is a very full model line. So we have the A4 Ultra, which is our front-wheel drive, 190 horsepower, very efficient motor, 31 combined from the EPA. We have the A4 2.0T front-wheel drive, the A4 2.0T Quattro, the A4 2.0T Quattro manual, and then you have the S4, rounding out the A4 family. On the A5, every A5 is Quattro. You have the 2.0T Quattro S-Tronic, 2.0T Quattro manual, A5 Cabriolet, and then S5 Coupe and S5 Cabriolet. And of course, not shown here is A5 Sportback and S5 Sportback, which are coming in another few months. So, especially for the A5 family, now it's an entire model line. And as Frank discussed last night, it's a lot of visual differentiation to give this car its own identity and separate it further from the A4. And now we're very excited in the US to have the entire A5 model line. So as we said, we started yesterday, is the best S yet. I think when you drive the car, you will completely agree. The engine, the performance, the 0 to 60, really driving dynamics was a key focus of this car and the emotion you get when driving it. The enhanced Quattro Sport rear differential definitely makes up for a lot of this. High level standard equipment, you have award-winning technology, infotainment, Audi Connect, and then of course your S-specific design between these vehicles. So, I gave you a lot of information so we can get into the car. But any questions, please? So we have some top. Yes.
You have gone from a 7-speed to an 8-speed automatic,
Yes.
and the manual is no longer offered in the
Yes.
car. So if it's a dynamic car and it's all about performance, I mean, I've heard some people give reasons why you did that, but why did you do that?
Well, I'll tell you very much. When we had the facelift for the last generation S4 and S5, the rest of the world got the manual killed. The demand is not there. We kept it through the rest of the life cycle, and we were one of the only markets that did that. But when you look at the numbers of people buying these cars, and it's tough because everyone is saying, I want a manual, but they go there and like, I might sit in traffic, and then they leave with an automatic. And so when you look at the data over years, it just is non-existent to develop, say I need to develop 2 transmissions so that very few people can take the other one. And when you get into the fact of driver assistance systems, and when you really need to control the transmission with all the dynamics in the car to say, okay, I'm turning, I need to adjust the throttle here, you need to be able to control transmission as well.
But is that more the reason because you're heading for autonomous driving?
It's not, well, in the future I think everyone's heading towards autonomous driving, but
Well, I don't know.
the fact is that, let's see, the data is not there to support having a manual transmission on these vehicles. And it's TTRS, last generation, we brought it only manual. We got emails from people complaining that we're stupid for not bringing it S-tronic because it was much faster, 0 to 60. And so it's that kind of stuff is like a stake through my heart, right? We try to do something and they come back and the customers are saying, well, we want to have the faster car because everyone's so focused on the numbers. And in real world, do the numbers matter that much? I don't know, but that's why the A4 and A5 have a manual, and I have a Sport Plus package that I made, which then brings down adaptive sport suspension and dynamic steering and the S interior to those cars to give you the dynamics as much as possible of an S model.
Well, that follows up my point because if they're available in the A4 and A5, why not put them on your performance car?
Because worldwide, the people who are buying performance cars are buying them with automatic transmissions because they're faster. And that is including Europe. So people are buying manuals on the lower price cars. When they get into performance, they want the maximum power and they want the maximum speed. And that comes with automatic. Yeah?
Are the adjustable dampers, are they MR or are they multi-level?
They are, they're not magnetic ride, no. They are adjustable, continuous damper control from ZF and Sachs. Yep.
You mentioned warm weather and cold weather packages.
Yes.
Related to seats. So are you getting only a heated or a cooled seat, or that both come?
So the S Sport seat is not ventilated because of the power bolsters and the massage function. So if you get the ventilated seat, you go to the regular Sport seat. But if you get the cold weather package, that adds a heated steering wheel and heated rear seats, and they don't adjust your front seats because those are already standard. Yep.
When do they hit the dealerships?
They're out now, which they released about a week ago. So we've already sold a few.
And price-wise, I saw the starting price was what, 51 and then 55 about.
Yeah, 51 and 54.
Yeah. What if you package them out all the way? How high can you go?
I mean, you can get into the 60s. You feel a fully loaded Prestige with cold weather and driver
On the
assist
S4.
On the S4.
So
yeah. And then you're about $3,000. There's about a $3,000 spread between the 2 cars.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Last night in the design presentation, there was a lot of discussion about the alu look stuff
Yeah.
that's on the outside. Is any of that actual aluminium?
So
Or is it just
it's always, we call it alu optic, so
Okay.
it's aluminized paint.
Okay,
So-
aluminized paint.
Yes.
All right, so I got to try to figure out how to describe that because I don't want to say there's aluminum trim
Yeah,
or
it's
aluminum stuff.
alu optic.
Alu optic doesn't
Yes.
work either. So all right, aluminum painted.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the decision to go with a torque converter automatic versus?
Well, it comes down to the fact that the when you have this much torque down low, the S-tronic can sometimes be a little bit jerky, right? And so when you have the smoothness from the torque converter, and you also still have the launch control program, and you have shifts that are almost as fast, and you can get an additional gear, it just made the right sense to do it with a 8-speed auto instead of the dual clutch. Okay, go up. We can talk later. Sure. Yeah. Yes. Who makes the automatic? Does that ask? Yes, gearbox. Yep. Is that everything? You excited to get in the cars?
Yes.
Exactly. 30 minutes, not quite 2 hours, But I think Amelia's going to come up and give you a little bit of info, and then I'll be riding with you guys today, and we'll be at lunch. And any questions we can definitely discuss. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
He has another question.
Nope.
What's the normal cost of the rig?
4060.
Cool. Ready?
I'm going to stay up here with you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Great.
So today, you guys